Welcome to CWS Christian Writing and Speaking. I'm your host, Jackie Wilson, and today's guest says she is a dream pollinator. She helps people ignite the fire within them concerning their business so that they can see the most powerful version of themselves. She tells people to dream big because at one point she was dream crushed by corporate America, but she listened to the voice on the inside and that said, leave and start writing. And that is exactly what she did. She has multiple books out, including Soul Meets Body. And today we're going to talk about what it is to have those big dreams, to listen to the voice on the inside so that you are aligned, so that you can reach the highest point that you can. Let's welcome to the CWS stage, Miss Debby Kruszewski.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. Thank you for that beautiful introduction.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to hear your story because you say, yet that you are the dream pollinator. And people may be like, what is a dream pollinator? Can you share your story with our audience?
Yes, I am a dream pollinator. I'll start with my name that Debbie is a from Hebrew, Devorah, and it's the bee seeker. And I realized that so much of that resonates with me in wanting the best for everybody around me, feeling like there's an impossible task for me out there that God gave me, and I'm trying my best to do it. And they just want to be successful. They want you to be successful. They want everything around you to be successful. And I feel like that's why I'm here, is to help people follow the dreams on their heart. And, God gave them to you for a reason, not to sit on a shelf, but for you to have them. And I did get here by doing all the things I was told. Go out and get a good education and then go get that smart job in corporate America. And I did that. I went out and I got a job that I started literally right moments after I graduated college. And I, after a time, the fun of it wore off, and you're like, what am I doing? Like, I don't even know. This isn't fulfilling. And it's like, no, 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 get to the next level, get to the next level. So I kept going up the ladder. And every time I was like, this is just not it for me. But I must be doing something wrong because I keep being told, oh, money will make you happy. Oh, a big title will make you happy. And the more that I was getting up in my career, I was losing myself. So I was on the road a lot. I, didn't really love the decisions that I had to make. And some of them were really hard, especially when you have to let go of employees. And I started to do some homework of, I really am upset with having to lose employees. And I feel like maybe we could have done a better job to retain them.
Mm.
So I ran some programs about finding what these employees, why they're not doing well, why they're not performing, and learning they're not in the right job. And that for a variety of reasons. They're afraid to leave because they're afraid of losing that paycheck. They're afraid that there's not something better. But also there was a necessity on our end of, well, this person fits the bill today and we'll just hire them. And neither one of us are doing a service for each other. We were just filling a piece of a void. So in learning how to avoid that, teaching people how to hire employees that are right for the job and not to fulfill a moment, but also take these employees that were not performing so well and find out who they really are. And I saw that I could really see inside of people and their true potential and what they were really good at and where they were thriving. And I made these programs to grow them into leadership. And I took that from another company and really helped them see that we could do amazing things if we make investments in people. So, I kept, as much as I loved doing that for people, it still wasn't the right place for me, or I didn't feel like I was in the right job. That was just a little tiny piece of those jobs. And I worked my way up to a C-level position. And there I was like, I'm more isolated. I've disconnected from who I am. I felt like I was losing God. And I felt like if I stayed, I was going to disappear. Like I just was drowning, and I felt like I was the walking dead, and that I probably would be dead if I stayed because of the stress and the anxiety that would just eat me. And I just prayed to God, and I asked him, tell me what to do, because I don't want to die. And this is not what I want to do with my life. I just don't feel this is my calling.
Mm.
And one day I heard him say, just start writing and leave this job. I'm going to take care of you. I promise you, this is the route. This is not another go to another round of hoops, but this is what it is. And I'm like, you know what? Everything that I'm doing is painful. It doesn't matter how much money I'm bringing in. It doesn't matter what my title is. I feel dead. That's not living.
Mm.
So every time that I dismissed God, when he spoke to me very loud and clear, spoke to me and said, don't get into that relationship. Don't take that left turn. Don't go down. Don't take that job. I dismissed him. I was like, what do you know? Like, no, that's the wrong path. That's not what I've been told my whole life. But once I made that wrong turn years and years ago, and I didn't listen to God, and I realized afterwards that was God. That was God speaking to me. And I said, no, what is wrong with me?
Mm.
And I made a pact with myself that time that I said, no, I won't say no to God again. And I'm going to really pay attention for him to speak to me. And then he spoke to me that day and said, leave. I'm like, well, I promised you and I promised myself that the next time you spoke to me, I would say yes. So I said yes. Everybody in my life still thinks I'm crazy, but I did it. And that was in 2017. And I
Mm.
wrote 3 books in 9 months. I didn't know what I was doing. I just was listening to his word. And then again, of course, I stopped listening, and I'm like, well, now I wrote these books and I don't know what to do. So I'm going to go out and I'm going to get more work. I'm going to work on some projects. I'm going to get some consulting jobs. And every consulting job is a closed door, closed door, closed
Wow.
door, closed door. And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong, because, my books aren't bringing in the money that I need to survive, and I should be doing something else. Tell me, God, what is it that I should be doing? And he came to me, and I mean, I have my own vision of what God looks like. And for me, it needs to be sarcastic. So it's sort of like a combination of like Santa Claus and Ted Lasso with sunglasses and a cup of coffee. And that's not how God looks to everybody. But for me, that's how I relate to him, is just sort of chilling out with a cup of coffee and talking. And he's like, you're not writing. I told you to write. Why? What are we doing here?
Mm-hmm.
And he constantly comes to me and reminds me, what did I tell you? Like, there was just one task you had to do, not all these other things, just this one task. And I want you to write and see where it takes you. So writing took me into speaking, took me into people asking me what my story is and how they can get to their dreams. So it just has evolved, and I am still writing as well. But it took me to go through those avenues of, I'm here to help people. And I remembered what I was happy at my job, and what I really felt was good work was working with people to help them be their true potential self and follow what is on their heart, because God gave that to them.
Mm. Yeah.
And if I could see it, it's there, it's out there, it's, your light is shining and your light is bright, and we all have it. And it's like, why do we teach ourselves to not have it and to not be there? So now I'm just working on getting the word out, and I tell wild, crazy stories that help people get closer to God, and just know that God's always loving and protecting you. But I like to tell stories that I feel are real stories going on out there, that people's real struggles of, I don't know why this person's in my life. I don't know why I lost that job. I don't know why I fell into this bad situation and now I'm in jail. I don't know why that relationship didn't work out. And once people can relate to those stories and those characters of, like, that happened to me, or I know somebody that happened to, or that is such a huge fear of mine, and to just watch these people go through it and see how God turns it around for them,
Mm.
and how your truth always comes true, and how your true dreams and visions come true, and how there's blessings from dreams that your ancestors had. I love when people say, I'm still living in my grandparents' dream, like they might have had a dream that they're being fulfilled through other people, and they just laid down the foundation, and that was their job. And we're all here to have our own dreams, but there's also foundation that we're building for our next generation to have for their dreams.
Yeah, I
So
love
it's
it.
thank you.
No, and it's so inspiring. And you're right. We're told to go down a certain path. This is the path to the American dream. And if you do everything right, you're going to receive everything that's within that American dream. But that's not necessarily true, especially if it's not lining up with what God truly has for you and who He has actually made you to be. When you're working outside of that, you're going to have complications. Can you tell people about your books as well as how you're helping people through the coaching?
Yeah, sure. I once again, like I just was listening to what God told me. So I was writing, and when I started writing, it had no rhyme or reason. I did really feel a bit like I was writing as some revenge for
Mm.
things that had happened to me, some misunderstandings of things in my life, and also some dreams that I had. And once I was paying attention to what I was writing, the ugliness was obvious. And I was like, no, that's not, it might have been therapeutic to get it on paper, but that is not what I need to be writing about. I need to stay in the happiness, in the joy of it. I worked with somebody that really put me on a path of how to finish writing a book and how to actually tie it all. That she didn't teach me how to tie it all together, but just get to an ending, get to a place where it needs to end, and make sure that you get your message across. What I didn't realize is that I did connect so many dots in writing that people were noticing that I didn't even realize that was there. And it was
Mm.
all spiritual coming through me. And there were times where I'm like, da, 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 and I'm like, I'm typing and I am not controlling. This is God putting this stuff on paper. And I'm just a vehicle for him to use me to get this story out. And when I felt that, I knew that this was my mission to help people. And I think it's beautiful when people come to you and they're like, you can't stop writing. You have to keep writing because you've inspired me. And I feel that a lot of people come to me and say, well, I stopped going to church, or I don't really pray as much as I used to. You are saying prayers all day long, if you believe it or not. You are putting a trust in God, if you believe it or not. You're just looking at it at a different way.
Mm.
Every time we get into a car, we don't know if we're going to get to our destination. We're putting a trust in God in so many things that we do. And we may just not recognize it because we're not giving it gratitude.
Mm.
And, just because you didn't go to church doesn't mean that's it. You ruined your life. It's over. God is always still with you. And every second is a chance to turn it around. So every second I acknowledge that I haven't gone, but I acknowledge that I miss it and I need it. So I feel like I've become a comfortable place for people to feel okay that their life isn't perfect, because nobody's life is perfect. It never turns out in this perfect way, and we're all broken and we all have made mistakes. But if you can learn that God always took you from that mistake into something brighter, you always can get a lesson out of it and learn. It redirected me to something that was bigger than I thought. And he's just with you on your journey. So I love to write stories to help people see, wow, like it could really, he is supporting me. He is with me. I can turn it around. I can believe in God again. I can get myself back into church. I am saying prayers. I just am not realizing it, and just being able to help people see how close they are connected with God when they feel like they're not.
Mm. And that's to the coaching part of what you do. You talk about igniting the fire within people so that they can reach those dreams. Can you share a little bit more?
Yeah. So I run what's called the Dream Pollination program. And, I like to make my program very realistic and very much about you, because it's about your dream and your vision. So I work with clients one on one. I call it the Dream Pollination Project because I like to stay with my connection to bees. But also, I feel like we're all in a season. So there's 4 seasons. And I also, it's important to recognize that you don't need to start at zero. You're not at zero. You're probably so much further ahead than you actually realize. And you probably just need small tweaks to get you to your dream. So I call it seasons because there is no start, there is no finish, and there is no, oh my gosh, I have to do all 4. You could have already accomplished 3.5. You could have already been through 3.5, and you just need somebody to help you in that last little piece. Or there's a piece you were missing in the middle, or a piece from the beginning. There is no exact rule or place of where you have to be. So I make it realistic, and it's work. It's work on yourself. It's work on what you really need. And a lot of it is building foundation. Number one things that people complain about or freak out about and say no to themselves is, well, I can't leave my job because of the money. That, it's always, there's like 5 money reasons that hold you back. So let's work on the finances. Let's look at what you need to be financially secure to get to that next place. What is it that you can do to get better at it? What are you doing wrong? There's no judgment. Just sometimes that just clouds you so much you can't see it anymore. So, I've been on every spectrum of the financial scale. Like I've had a lot of money and I didn't know what to do with it. And you know what? I didn't always make the greatest choices when I was in those high places. And I've been in places where I've looked at my bank account and it's entirely red. And it's like, well, what am I going to do? And you know what I've learned? Either side is not that glamorous. There's problems when you have money and there's problems when you don't have money. And if you don't learn strong lessons at either direction, you're always going to find yourself in that loop. So, you need to find your own personal, what is that middle ground that I feel comfortable, safe, and secure. And you can get there. But if you don't learn how to save money and how to appreciate money when you're broke, you're not going to appreciate it and treat it fairly when you have it. And then you're going to continually find yourself there. So really teaching people how to treat their money, and how there's so many avenues of how you can make investments with no money. Just putting in little pennies and dollars every week, month makes a difference. It completely makes a difference. And giving back, and there's so many things that you can do. And I just make it as comfortable as possible for you. And I do have plenty of resources to help whoever is in any situation. Next is health. So addressing your health physically, mentally. What is it that you're feeding yourself? Are you feeding yourself junk and then beating yourself up for it? Well, why are you doing that? Let's get those things under control, because if you're not in the right mindset, if you're not healthy, you're not going to be able to move forward because you're going to get clouded. And making sure you do have a connection to source, making sure that you are giving it to God, that you are asking for prayers, that you are letting yourself be guided by God. And we get so fixed on the I can't that all those things get cloudy, and then you don't move forward because you just live in the I can't and you're stuck there. So I help people get out of that stuck, and everybody's stuck looks different. But once you can get through that, you see how many goals you've accomplished, how much further you are to your dream, how realistic it is. Even if it sounds crazy, it might have be in your head. All you can relate to is what you can see in your head, but that may not 100% be what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But we can get through those layers if we release those layers to make you the best version of yourself. So that's is really what the program is it's really customized for you for the one-on-one, and also for companies that want the best for their employees, because if they're happy and fulfilling their dreams, they bring that to their job, and clients want to work with you because that positivity is just so contagious.
Mm-hmm.
And so both ways, everybody wins.
Yeah, I love it. Can you tell people what's next for you?
Well, I have a lot of things on my plate, so I don't know that I'm going to be able to remember all of them. I have to go to my cheat sheet. But I am working on two new novels. I am working with a publisher that I'm on pins and needles waiting to hear back from them of, what they think and if we'll be able to work together, which would be very exciting. I also just spoke yesterday with a woman that runs an entertainment company, and she is looking for a writer for it's all Christian Catholic stories, a lot about saints, but now she's turning to a different avenue of wanting to write a TV show about everyday struggles and about people that get themselves through it by the power of leaning on God, and how he's always with you. So she asked me if I would help do some writing. So we're just having an initial conversation about it, but that would be wonderful to be part of that, because that would help push through what my mission is to get people closer to God. And just other programs that are they're in the same realm of, I was writing, what can I do with my writing that God keeps asking me to do to take myself further. So open to speaking engagements, to help people at any place. I speak at my alma mater. I'll be there next week doing some speaking with students to encourage them and get them excited about what's the next steps for them. So I'm excited for all of that.
Yeah, it all sounds good, Debbie. And I know the audience will be looking forward to interacting with you in those various ways. Can you tell people how to connect with you?
Oh, great. I try to make it easy as possible. So my website, you can connect with me there. It's debbykrusz.com, which is DebbyKrusz.com. I try to keep my social media the same way, at Debby Kruz, again, DebbyKrusz. And that's all the major ones. So Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter. I don't know if I missed any, but I think those are the main ones.
Yeah. So thank you for sharing that information. Audience, you've heard the connection information, so make sure you're connecting with her. But as we wrap up this interview today, what is the one thing you feel like the audience absolutely needs to take away from your story and that they can start implementing in their life today?
I think the most important thing is it's love. It's love for yourself. It's compassion for yourself, because if you have love for yourself, then you have love to give to others, and it's contagious and it's beautiful, and it's an attraction of making people smile bright. It's shining their light brighter and wanting people to be around you. And the more you give out love, you get it in threefold back for sure.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Debbie. CWS audience, you have heard Debbie's story. You've heard how she is helping people and how she wants you to love on yourself. As we end this interview, I challenge you to think about definitely loving yourself and embracing whatever dream it is that God has placed in you. And as you do that, you will definitely shine and impact other people's lives. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. And until next time, beautiful people, God bless.